Something unusual happened in Congress, and within hours, the clip was everywhere. In the middle of the heated hearing about government fraud, Texas Representative Jasmine Crockett didn't just ask questions. She flipped the entire narrative. What started as a discussion about taxpayer abuse suddenly turned into a confrontation about discrimination, political hypocrisy, and corruption at the highest levels. The room went quiet. The tension was obvious, and online, the moment exploded. But that viral exchange wasn't just another political soundbite. It revealed why Crockett is quickly becoming one of the most talked about and controversial figures in Washington. Supporters say she's fearless, unfiltered, and willing to challenge powerful institutions. Critics argue she's confrontational and fueling political division. Either way, one thing is clear: her voice is getting louder, her audience is growing, and now she's aiming even higher. Because behind the viral clips and headline moments, there's something bigger happening. A high-stakes Senate race in Texas that could reshape her career and shift the political landscape. And that hearing, it may have been the moment everything changed. The hearing was supposed to focus on one thing: government fraud. Lawmakers were presenting evidence, witnesses were outlining concerns, and the discussion was moving in a familiar direction until Jasmine Crockett took the floor. Instead of continuing the same line of questioning, she went straight to a point that immediately changed the tone of the room. Her question was simple, but loaded. One by one, she asked the witnesses a direct yes or no question. Did they believe that all members of the Somali community were involved in fraud? Each witness answered the same way: no. And that was exactly the moment Crockett was building toward. She argued that the conversation around fraud was beginning to paint an entire immigrant community as suspicious because of the actions of a few individuals. According to her, the narrative being pushed wasn't just about financial misconduct anymore. It risked turning into something broader and more damaging. The exchange quickly shifted from policy discussion to something far more personal and political. Inside the room, the atmosphere tightened. Outside the room, the impact was immediate. Clips of the exchange spread across social media within hours. Supporters praised her for confronting what they saw as unfair targeting and for forcing the conversation to acknowledge the human consequences behind political rhetoric. Critics, however, accused her of changing the subject and turning a fraud investigation into a partisan moment. The debate wasn't just happening in Congress anymore, it was happening online, on cable news, and across political circles nationwide. And just when it seemed like the moment couldn't get more intense, Crockett took things even further, shifting the spotlight away from the hearing itself and toward allegations that would spark an even bigger controversy. But instead of stopping after challenging the narrative, Crockett took the moment in a completely different direction, and this is where the hearing turned explosive. After questioning the focus on specific communities, she began listing what she described as far bigger concerns about fraud and corruption at the federal level. One by one, she pointed to allegations involving taxpayer money, government contracts, and controversial decisions tied to the administration. Her argument was clear: if Congress was serious about fighting fraud, then the spotlight shouldn't just be on small programs or isolated cases. According to her, the real issue was potential misconduct happening at the highest levels of power. She referenced reports and claims about questionable payouts, taxpayer funds being spent at private properties, and clemency decisions involving individuals previously convicted of large-scale fraud. She also raised concerns about investigations that critics say were dropped or never fully pursued. It's important to note that many of these points come from political accusations, reports, or ongoing public debate, not court rulings or confirmed findings in every case. But in that moment, Crockett wasn't presenting a legal case. She was making a political one, and the impact was immediate. Supporters saw it as a bold move, a direct challenge to what they believe is selective outrage over fraud. Online, many praised her for bringing receipts and forcing the conversation toward accountability at the top. But critics saw something very different. They accused her of turning a policy hearing into a partisan attack and using unverified claims to score political points. The exchange quickly spread beyond the hearing room, fueling debates about political double standards, government oversight, and the growing divide in how each side defines corruption. And just like that, Jasmine Crockett wasn't just a participant in a hearing anymore. She had become the center of a political firestorm, and the backlash was already beginning. The reaction came fast, and it was intense. Within hours of the hearing, clips of Crockett's remarks were circulating everywhere. Supporters flooded social media, calling her fearless, sharp, and unapologetic. Many said she was saying what other Democrats were afraid to say, praising her for directly challenging powerful figures and refusing to back down. But on the other side, the criticism was just as loud. Conservative commentators and political opponents, accused her of turning a serious oversight hearing into a partisan spectacle. Some argued she was more focused on scoring viral moments than addressing the actual issue of fraud. Others claimed her tone was overly confrontational and warned that this kind of rhetoric only deepens political division. Cable news panels picked up the story. Online debates turned heated, and once again, Crockett's name was trending not just among political insiders, but across the broader national conversation. If anything, the controversy only amplified her visibility. Political analysts began pointing out a pattern. Crockett wasn't just speaking to the room anymore, she was speaking to the internet, to the news cycle, and to a growing audience that responds to direct, high-energy messaging. Every viral moment was expanding her reach far beyond her district. Supporters saw momentum, critics saw grandstanding, but whether people agreed with her or not, one thing was becoming impossible to ignore. Jasmine Crockett was no longer a low-profile member of Congress. She was quickly becoming a national political figure, and that surge in attention couldn't have come at a more critical moment. Because behind the viral clips and growing controversy, she was preparing for a move that could take her career to an entirely new level. While the viral moments were dominating headlines, something even bigger was quietly taking shape behind the scenes. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just building a national profile, she was positioning herself for a major political leap. With the U.S. Senate seat in Texas coming into focus, Crockett entered a race that many consider one of the most difficult battlegrounds for Democrats. For years, Texas has remained firmly conservative at the statewide level, and flipping a Senate seat there has been seen as a long shot. But recent elections have shown signs of change. Population shifts, growing urban turnout, and tighter margins have started to reshape the political map. For Democrats, the question isn't just whether Texas can turn competitive, it's whether the right candidate can energize enough voters to make it happen. And that's where Crockett's rising visibility becomes critical. Her viral exchanges, strong media presence, and unapologetic communication style have quickly turned her into a recognizable figure far beyond her district. In early polling and political discussions, she has been mentioned alongside other Democratic contenders, with analysts noting that her name recognition could give her an edge in a crowded field. At the same time, the Republican side is preparing for its own internal battle, with high-profile figures competing to prove who best represents the party's base. That means the general election could become a high-stakes showdown shaped by energized voters on both sides. For Crockett, the opportunity is clear, but so is the risk. Running statewide in Texas requires more than viral moments. It demands fundraising power, broad appeal, and the ability to win over voters who may not be active on social media or tuned into political drama. Still, her rapid rise has already changed the conversation. What once seemed like a long-shot challenge is now being watched as a race that could signal where Texas and the national political landscape might be heading next. But her growing influence didn't happen by accident, and the strategy behind her rise reveals how modern political power is really being built. Crockett's rise may look sudden, but it's anything but random. Behind the viral moments and headline exchanges is a strategy that fits perfectly with the way modern politics actually works. In today's media environment, attention is power, and Crockett has shown a clear understanding of how to capture it. Instead of long, cautious statements, her style is direct, sharp, and built for impact. She speaks in clear sound bites, asks pointed questions, and isn't afraid to challenge opponents in real time. Those moments don't just land in the hearing room, they travel. Within hours, clips are shared across social media, picked up by political pages, and replayed on television. And each time it happens, her audience grows. But it's not just about confrontation. Her messaging is designed to connect emotionally with viewers who feel frustrated with traditional politics. Supporters see authenticity, someone who sounds less like a scripted politician and more like a person speaking plainly about what they believe. That approach has made her especially popular with younger voters and highly engaged online communities, groups that play a growing role in fundraising, organizing, and shaping political narratives. At the same time, her media presence extends beyond viral clips. Interviews, panel appearances, and rapid responses to breaking political moments keep her name circulating in the news cycle. In a crowded political environment, staying visible is half the battle, and Crockett has managed to do it consistently. Of course, this kind of high-visibility strategy comes with tricks. The same moments that energize supporters can also mobilize critics. Every viral exchange brings new attention, but it also puts her under a microscope, where opponents are quick to frame her style as combative or overly partisan. Still, the numbers tell a clear story. Attention is translating into influence. And as her profile continues to grow, the real question isn't whether the strategy is working, it's whether that momentum can hold up when the stakes get even higher. With rising visibility comes unavoidable risk. Every viral moment, every pointed question, and every bold accusation puts Crockett under intense scrutiny, and in Texas politics, that can be both a blessing and a danger. Her confrontational style energizes supporters, but it also risks alienating moderate voters who may be undecided or hesitant to back someone seen as too combative. Political analysts warn that in a state as conservative as Texas, even a small misstep can shift a race dramatically. The controversies surrounding her hearings and public statements aren't just local, they're national. Critics from across the country have framed her actions as divisive or performative, suggesting she prioritizes media attention over substantive governance. Meanwhile, her supporters argue that calling out corruption and hypocrisy is exactly the kind of bold leadership the system needs. Campaign strategy in this environment becomes a delicate balancing act. Crockett must maintain her outspoken persona, which has earned her viral fame, while also appealing to a broader electorate that includes independent and swing voters. Fundraising, endorsements, and ground operations will be critical, as opponents on the right are well-funded and prepared to capitalize on any misstep. High stakes aren't limited to the campaign itself. The Texas Senate seat she's pursuing could influence national politics, tipping the balance in a deeply divided Senate that amplifies every decision, every public appearance, and every word she says. In this context, Crockett's journey isn't just about winning a race, it's about navigating a political minefield where every viral moment carries weight. Every controversy could sway voters, and the pressure to perform is relentless. The question now becomes, can her momentum, strategy, and public profile survive the intense scrutiny and high-pressure environment of a statewide race? The answer will shape not only her career, but potentially the political landscape in Texas and beyond. The Texas Senate race isn't just another contest on the map, it's a national story with far-reaching implications. For years, Texas has been a symbol of conservative strength, a state many assumed would remain out of reach for Democrats at the Senate level. But changing demographics, shifting urban centers, and high voter engagement are challenging that assumption, making this race a bellwether for the future. Jasmine Crockett's candidacy elevates the stakes even higher. Her national profile, amplified by viral moments and media coverage, draws attention not only from Texas voters, but from political observers across the country. Every move she makes, every public statement, is being watched and analyzed for signs of momentum or vulnerability. The outcome of this race could signal more than just a single seat. It could indicate whether Democrats can make inroads in traditionally conservative strongholds. For Republicans, maintaining control becomes equally critical, and they are prepared to pour resources, messaging, and energy into holding their ground. Beyond party politics, this race highlights a broader trend in American politics: the power of media visibility, viral moments, and direct messaging to shape voter perception. Crockett represents a new generation of political figures who leverage social media, national attention, and bold strategy to challenge long-standing norms. In short, this isn't just a local election, it's a test of whether a modern political approach, fueled by visibility and engagement, can translate into real statewide power. And as the campaigns intensify, the eyes of the nation will be on Texas, watching every debate, every viral clip, and every strategic move. From a single hearing moment to a statewide Senate race, Jasmine Crockett's story is a striking example of how modern politics can pivot on attention, courage, and strategy. What began as a viral confrontation over fraud and discrimination has transformed her into a nationally recognized figure, a rising star whose every word, every clip, and every move carries weight far beyond her district. Her journey highlights the power of boldness in a media-driven political landscape. Supporters see her as fearless and unfiltered, someone willing to challenge entrenched systems and speak truth to power. Critics see risk, polarization, and the dangers of turning attention into political currency. Either way, Crockett has shown that visibility can become influence, and influence can become opportunity. The upcoming Texas Senate race will be the ultimate test. Will her viral fame and strategic messaging translate into votes, endorsements, and the ability to compete in a state long dominated by conservative politics? Or will the risks and controversies surrounding her approach create obstacles too great to overcome? Whatever happens, one lesson is clear. In today's political world, the loudest, most engaging voices can redefine the conversation. Jasmine Crockett's rise is proof that a single moment, a pointed question, a viral clip, a fearless challenge can change not just a hearing, but the trajectory of a political career and perhaps even the course of a state's future. As November approaches, the nation will be watching closely. Because in the modern era of politics, attention isn't just currency, it's power. And Crockett has already proven she knows how to spend it.